This is Leaders Who Scale, and I'm Jeff Siegel. I've worked with thousands of companies over the years, and I'm fascinated by seeing how many of them grow and scale. Join me as we learn from the leaders of growing companies and share that knowledge. Leaders Who Scale is sponsored by Siegel Solutions, providing world-class accounting, advisory, and QuickBooks and Acumatica Cloud ERP services. Today's guest, he grew up helping his father and mother in the family gardening and nursery business since he was 9 years old. He comes from an entrepreneurial family, and he's grown the business from a mom and pop organization that started in 1967 to currently a business that has over 70 employees in 2022 with multiple locations. He recently started a new division focusing on commercial interior and exterior design. 65% of his business is residential and commercial landscaping, and 35% is now design and build. He is the president of Uyeta Landscape and Maintenance. I want to welcome Eddie Uyeta. Welcome, Eddie.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes. Actually, it's morning there. I think it's afternoon here. I'm on
Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are.
Yes. So I'm on the East Coast, and you are, where are you? Tell everybody.
We're outside of Seattle, about 30 minutes south of Seattle.
Awesome. Cool. So the one thing I want to ask is you are growing. You're in a business that's, what is it, almost, how many years is it now? 40?
54 years since my parents started it.
Okay, awesome.
But since I incorporated in 1990, we're about 30, 25.
Yeah. So you got some longevity. What is the most challenging aspect or challenges that you are finding as you grow and scale your business?
It's it's probably the same for a lot of service industries, is to be able to find skilled labor, and that's probably number one.
Yeah.
And then as a company grows, you get into uncharted waters for people like myself that hasn't had, more than a few people to start with as employees, but now you're up to 70.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge is, multifold, from, company culture to systems and processes, and getting people on the right page, getting your leadership team together, all focusing and rowing the oars in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
So there's multiple challenges along the way.
How big is your so you got 70 employees? How big is kind of that inner management team as opposed to people who are pretty much out in the field doing?
There's about 10 of us.
Okay.
That I consider the leadership team.
Mm-hmm.
And they come from that admin side to the design build manager, to the commercial maintenance manager, to the residential maintenance manager, and some of the other supporting people that make up that team. So about, out of 70, there's 60 of us in the field, getting the work done.
And how do you guys operate under like a system as far as management system? Do you meet like weekly or monthly? Do you set strategy for the quarter or for the year? I'm just curious what that all looks like from a.
Yeah, we try to meet as a company twice a month.
Okay.
Every other Friday. And
is that the whole company or just the management team?
Just the management team.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So the management team meets twice a month, and we talk about, our victories, our challenges, and just give me the bullet points of your division. And we got about 5 minutes to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
But we like to bring up things that are, relevant to everyone. So we make it a productive meeting.
Yeah. Do you have, when you think about scaling, do you have like an annual event where you kind of look at, here's what we want to do next year or next 5 years?
That's a good point. And I just started doing that, actually. So we have a business leadership conference that I started about 2 years ago. And every November, we go up to the casino up here. We rent out a room. And for 2 days, the leadership team just focuses on the business, and that gets everybody out of the day-to-day stuff, so we can focus on every division, where it's been, where it is going in the future, what that leader wants to, take his division to.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe one day, I could start having these meetings, in Cabo or Hawaii.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
Right. So that would be a goal for the leadership team to get us to that level.
Right.
Where hey, our business meeting this year is going to be in Maui.
Yeah. Yeah. We do the same thing, and then we meet. We actually do it quarterly to see where we're at as far as the goals we set, kind of at that annual event, and then our weekly, kind of like you do a twice a month. I think you said, right? You have your meetings. We actually have a 90-minute meeting every week, and we go over like strategy and the real current stuff. That's but it's helpful. Like, would you say that you said you started that what
2 years ago?
2 years ago. Have you seen? I'm just curious. Have you seen a difference, or has it been helpful as a company to be doing that?
Yeah, I think it brings people, as their divisions are a little bit different, it brings everyone back together again, and creates that a little bit more bonding about who we still are. We're still one company, and we do a lot of different things because we're a full service landscape company. We just don't maintain, but we also, solve people's problems, constantly every day, and that's what keeps the phones ringing for us.
Yeah.
But to be able to get people off site to talk about these things. And another thing that I do is I try to bring in guest speakers.
Okay.
So it's not just us talking, but it's me, maybe, it's a guest speaker maybe repeating what I said. And then suddenly it's, oh, wow, I never knew that kind of thing. But, because somebody else said it. It's like teaching kids, the neighbor tells the kids something, and that, suddenly their neighbor is God. But, that's what Pop's been saying all along. But I'll bring in a CPA, for example, or I'll bring in a marketing person, or I'll bring in, a vendor that I think would be good for everyone, to know, and let them understand, what it takes to run things, from the financial viewpoint of the CPA, what he's asking me for, versus, our vendor who is just always trying to sell us stuff, but he's the guy that, he takes landscaping off your plate, so to speak, because he's the guy with the products and the equipment and everything else to solve your problems, to make you look good.
Sure. Do you share, like, some business owners will actually share some financial information with their team, like some kind of like an open book? Man,
yeah, I think that's always the best, because at least for us, people know where they stand. And then it gives them a clear focus every year. During that business meeting, one of the questions is, how much do you want to grow this year? If it's going to be 10%, 20%, whatever that is, that's fine. That'll be the goal. And throughout the course of the year, during our every other company leadership meetings, they report in on it. Hey, I'm 50% to my goal this year, and I'm only in May, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. So we help encourage, them getting to reach their goals, and we want everyone to chime in about, maybe we can do this, or maybe you could do that to make it more efficient, so you can make that goal with, 15, 20% profit.
Yeah.
So we try to,
And how do I
different speakers coming in?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's always important, to hear from someone else, like you said, and it's not like, oh, Eddie's been telling us this, but this other person said it too, so it must be more important, right?
And it's always like that, yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm from the school of hard knocks, so I've done it, but I've done everything, and then everyone comes from different experiences. So, I want them to bring that to the table too. Open book, they know their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are there certain numbers you like a dashboard that you look at, the metrics or things that you kind of monitor as a leader, as an owner? Whether it's number of customers or revenue or employees or what are the things that you look at on a regular basis as to monitor?
Yeah, some of those key metrics are cash is king to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a cash flow statement every Monday, and then when I meet with every division leader twice a week on a separate basis from the company leadership meeting. So I'll bring in the design build manager. I'll bring in the the new interiors division manager, and we meet every week, and we just focus on their specific problems, issues, and they bring me the sales report. They report to me what happened last week, what's on the books this week, and what's going to be happening the next week, and that's our agenda. And then so we talk about the numbers specifically from every division, so I know what's going on, and then we sit down, we try to solve some problems, and we talk about business as far as where do you want your division to go versus what I'm thinking as well, and I'm there to support them. So that's the way I view myself now. I try to look at it not like a CEO, but more like a CVO, a Chief Visionary Officer.
There you go.
So I try to get out of I'm trying to get out of the weeds and look at the big picture now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you notice, that's an interesting topic right on its own. So did you notice a point in the evolution of the business where you were like in the business, you were doing a lot, feet on the ground type of thing?
Every small business owner has gone through those stages. It's those rites of passages as you go from, it took forever to get to $1 million. And then the next hump was 2 million. Then the next is 3. Then the next is 5. Then the next is 10. Every one of those milestones brings challenges.
Yeah.
And for me, since I was, started in the pickup truck with the shovel, I went through every one of those phases, on my own.
Yeah.
Including, design, build, mowing lawns, after dinner, it's like, got to do the QuickBooks, got to send out the bills, got to call the customers back. So when you work every part of your business, you have a lot of, you get a lot of experience so you can pass that knowledge on. That's the other challenge too, is passing on the knowledge. Boy, if I could do that Vulcan mind meld, like you see on Star Trek, just give you all the things that I know about landscaping and put that in your brain and your head. And then you got that as a baseline. And then you need to add to it, of course, your own take on it. But besides labor, passing on the knowledge. And that's one of the things that I always stress to the managers is, are you coaching, teaching, mentoring your crews? Are you finding a replacement for yourself so you can actually move up that ladder?
Yeah. Do you create some businesses will create like SOPs, standard operating procedures, and they document things and as they grow? I mean, it's something that you don't do initially, but then as you get to a certain point, some start documenting.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's it's gonna it's a constant work on something, as any business goes. But we have to do a little bit more of those SOPs, operating procedures, for every division, and that includes orientation, giving these people coming in a career track to run on, and then training, education. All those other things that become part of the company culture. So we become a place where we're an employer of choice versus I'm just here for the job kind of thing. And I think every company goes through looking for the right people to put on the right seat on the bus. So,
I mean, you mentioned culture, and you've got 70 people. How do you maintain that culture or promote that culture? Because I assume do you all get together at certain points? Is there, what kind of activities do you try to do to kind of promote this culture?
You know,
It sounds like it's family biz owned kind of a culture.
yeah, and I try to lead by example.
Mhm.
And so whatever I do, I want the managers to, do it the same way as best they can, and have the same philosophy. We have our core values, and they're placed on the wall up there for everyone to read. But I think the main thing is you keep as best you can. Once you start to move out to different satellites in different states or whatever people have, it's harder and harder to keep that culture together. The way that the owner or the boss or one of the main managers wants it to be.
Mhm.
But I mean, for instance, a good way that I've done it recently is we started a bend and stretch exercise program for 5 minutes in the morning before the crews go out. Uh, and so I participate in the bend and stretch. The guys call it Zumba now.
Oh,
It's time for Zumba, 7 o'clock.
yeah.
Right? And we go out there and we all, do our bending and stretching as part of safety. It's part of our safety culture. But at the same time, that brings us all together. And, no matter if you're from interiors or if you're from construction side or you're doing maintenance, it's all good to go. It's all good to go and get out there and stretch. I encourage some of the admin people to come out too, but they're kind of shy.
Oh, get them out there. Force them.
But what I see is camaraderie
Yeah.
when we all do that, because some of the guys, that are out there that they don't know what each of us do.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to develop more of a internal website or internal texting system. So each of the divisions can take pictures of what they do out there, and they can brag to each other about how they did it and what it looks like and how how happy the customer is.
Yeah.
Because the other guys will say, God, I didn't know we did irrigation, or I didn't know we did that kind of, water feature type stuff. I go, well, yeah, where you been? But they've been doing what they do so good that they don't understand what some of the other parts of the business did.
Mhm.
And so I think one of the things is, starting an internal type of that.
Yeah. So we did that because a lot of we do outsourced accounting. So a lot of my bookkeepers or our team, I hate to say my bookkeepers, but the team is remote. They work from home, and so we use Microsoft Teams. We every Friday we have a team meeting. All our videos are on, and we chit chat what's going on with whatever, whether it's a client, a personal issue, and it's created that team concept because everybody's at home and they're by themselves. So that's what we did, and that actually, I don't know, you've probably seen commercials for Teams. I hate to plug products, but
yeah,
it's a great internal collaboration tool. People post pictures or all kinds of fun stuff. So
yeah, and there's no substitute for getting together every once in a while.
True.
Because after a while, no one knew what no one knew what Zoom and Teams were until COVID came, right?
Right, for the most part.
Yeah, and so that was great in the beginning, but still, I believe that when you're in our industry or any type of business, we're still a people to people relationship, building kind of company. Oh, it's always worked best for us that way with the types of the clientele and the people that we work with.
Yeah. One of the things that's funny, I'm in an EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, and one of the things I was just thinking of as you were talking about this was before every meeting, there's like a thought-provoking question they throw out there. Like we know ahead of time. And it gets everybody to go around the room and you learn more about the person based on the question and the answer. It may be like, can you name one person that had a positive, like when you were younger, that had a positive influence on your life or something like that? Or who was your favorite pet? And everyone talks about whatever, and then some of them are deeper than others. But it's a nice experience because it kind of makes you, it's thought provoking, and everybody that's in that room, all the employees or whoever you're with, kind of get a little bit better understanding of the person that they're, with. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you mentioned you're like chief visionary. That's how you probably consider yourself now. Do you have a right hand person, like a VP of ops, or someone who makes things happen? Like, for instance, typically what you see is the visionary has all of the ideas, but then the next person is like, all right, I got your idea. Let's put this, I'm going to make this work for you. And then you've got people who are going to like do all the, cross the T's and dot the I's type of people.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a right hand person, and she, when we talk about having to change roles and step up, as I get to understand my right hand person, Pinnacle, that's her name. She's more of a behind the scenes person. She's not the one being out in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't be that good visionary or the CEO type of person. You don't want to ever put a person, into a role that they're not comfortable with.
Of course.
But I think, at the end, we all need that right hand person or that right hand team.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end, I did it all by myself in the beginning when it was a lot smaller, and I could because, I could. I mean, there's nothing stopping me. But as time goes on, you need that. You need to develop that team, because that team is the ones that go out there and put your vision out to the world, and they're the ones that help build you to wherever you want to go. And you get that buy-in from them, and then that's what makes that team. And so I couldn't have gotten to this point now without them. In the beginning, I thought I could have, but as you start to have more and more people and systems, you're in the red zone, right? And you punch it into that end zone. You're not going to do it by yourself. You need those 10 other guys on the line blocking and, hitting and moving people out of your way so you can, get that touchdown.
Yeah.
And so I give all the credit to my team, and they're the ones that, make my vision, come alive.
Yeah.
As we move forward.
But you find that there's a book I've mentioned this on a couple of other podcasts called Predictable Success, and it talks about this as a business grows, the stages it goes through, and the beginning stage is like, which was years ago in your business, but the like the early struggle, like, we're just trying to get cash in the door and get clients. And then it moves up to this stage where it's like, hey, it's the fun stage. Clients coming in, we've got cash, we're growing, everybody's having a great time. And then you get to what they call whitewater, which is like, oh, the systems aren't keeping up with our growth, and things are slipping through the cracks, and nobody's calling back the customer, and we're having issues. And I guess at each stage, the book talks about bringing in these people to help. At first it's you. It's the, hey, I'm struggling to make this work. But then you bring in what they call an operator, which gets your vision to work. And then you bring in the processor behind them that basically puts in the systems. And I'm sure you've probably seen that through.
But that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And it's around that, when you're first starting off, you run into roadblocks that you've never seen before.
Sure.
And
yeah.
Then revenue starts to fall. Expenses get too high, and you're wondering what the hell is going on. And then, me, I call myself the, incompetent competent.
Right.
Meaning sometimes I've taken it to this point, but sometimes I don't know how I got here. But there were some scary times in the past where I was just going, holy smoke, I'm like one payroll away from, going under.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? And so that's when I reach out to others that have been in this game before, and I ask them for their help. I hired them on as, a temporary CFO. I want you to look into my numbers and see where the slippage is happening. It looks like everyone's doing well, but look, the receivables are up to 90 days now. That's the first thing we got to work on. Okay, well, who's in charge of that? And then you
Yeah.
ask for help. I think that was one of my problems is I never asked for help soon enough because I'm always the guy thinking, oh God, I got this. What's wrong with me? I could do this. But then you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And then, I could have been, $100 million company by now if I knew some of these things way back in the day, when that, I'm trying to, go from the pickup truck to the boardroom.
Yeah.
But then I'm doing that all by myself. And, like most business owners, that's what they do. They're just driven to do it themselves without asking for help. So that's one of my things now. And when we run into problems, sometimes it's okay to reach out for help. And then you'd be surprised how many people are happy to help.
Yeah, absolutely. So that sounds like that would be an advice you give to your younger self starting this company or working.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's in retrospect. It's like, oh yeah, should have, could have, would have. But as you move forward, you try to eliminate those should have, could have, would have.
Right. Are you do you ever have, as the visionary of the business, are you ever in conflict with the person who may be, hey Eddie, we can't do that yet. We have to do this first, or we need to have this in place? Or is there ever any conflict that happens? Because typically you see that. Like you're probably like, I want to go here, and they go and slow down. And do you have a team that says, time out, let's do this first, or are you like charge ahead?
Well, I always charge ahead, but then there's always others that say, hey, we got to reel this back a little bit because this will happen if you don't.
Yeah.
And so that's part of having a good team. It's like, oh, I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
When you got a good team, you go out and buy a car. I just bought this new truck. And I just drive down the road forgetting about everything else, like registration, insurance, and, reporting it to the state and all those other things. And then I just keep driving the truck. But then when I get back to the office, at night, registration's there. Here's your insurance card. Put this in your truck. Here's your good to go sticker for your carpool stuff, lanes. But having a good team brings all that together. Yeah, I don't have to, I like to charge ahead, but I do it, I'm, more conservative. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it, for the long term.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so I don't take as many, chances, risks that maybe others do. Right. And, everyone runs their businesses differently. Well, I mean, we've grown organically. I've looked at, acquiring some, other smaller companies, but, that's good to, have the volume, but then it comes with a whole set of other issues that, whatever was good for that company is good, but then you're going to inherit all their, problems as well. It's like buying a used car.
Yeah.
You got a good deal on it, but you inherit all the problems too of a used car.
Sure.
So I try to grow it organically as much as we can, promote from within.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, well, then we have to start looking outside.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to other owners who acquire companies, and the big thing for them is really the culture too. Not necessarily, like you said, it's not just the revenue and the volume. It's the people. And if it doesn't fit, it's not worth that top line revenue.
It's not. It's coming with just too many headaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do for like even professional development? Do you belong to any, do you have a coach? Do you belong to any groups where you kind of learn, just continue to learn, educate yourself?
For years I just kept to myself and grew it internally, but on my own. But as time has went on, I noticed that within our own industry, we have good conferences and peer groups that you can join. And so our National Association of Landscape Professionals is our national, and they put on a bunch of conferences from the big national thing that goes East Coast to I think they're in Florida this year, but they move around the country and they have different educational. I mean, there's everything from webinars to actually going to conferences and joining peer groups that I've participated in some. And so that keeps me out there a little bit more than just internally, and then networking with other business owners, because we all share the same problems and we all share the same types of victories.
Yeah.
We share some of those ideas. So that's one of the things that, like I said, if I would have reached out and participated in some of those things a little bit earlier, one of the best ones that our association puts on are field trips. They're field trips to they're field trips to other landscape companies.
Oh, wow.
That do the same thing you do. And then they're gracious enough to open up their whole operations to everyone coming to visit. We're not in the same area. We're not in competition. We all can, put our guard down and talk shop.
Mm-hmm.
And you go from, some of these larger companies, they're national companies. And they show us, and they tell us, the people that are visiting, how they do it. How do you control culture when you're in 22 states?
Yeah.
And you're $200 million, dollars, and you got 1,800 employees. How does that work? And you take those great ideas that they already went through all the trials and tribulations, and they're giving you the answers of what worked for them. And then maybe you can incorporate a nugget or two from those guys into your operation.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of keep in touch with that.
Yeah. Do you have a group of, I do the same in with the QuickBooks world that we're in, and we have, a group of colleagues that we're always in contact with each other. Is it the same type of thing where you could reach out to your colleagues, or you see them at the conference every year or conferences, and you kind of share stories?
Something like that. Yeah. We have our phone numbers, and we exchange cards and we talk. But I need to take it one step further and actually join one of those peer groups.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of chicken, because, once you join one of those groups, they hold you accountable, right?
They do. I'll tell you, I mentioned this before. I joined Entrepreneurs Organization, and we meet. There's about 8 of us in our forum once a month for 4 hours. Then we go out to eat afterwards, and they hold you accountable. So if you can't, the last meeting you said, "Hey, this is what I'm going to try to do," or then they're going to come in the next meeting and say, "Hey, how'd it go?"
Yeah, that's right.
You can't say, "Well, I didn't." Yeah.
Come on now, pick it up, right?
It is good, because as visionaries, we kind of drift a little bit sometimes. And
yeah, I mean, I don't need to know the nuts and bolts of everything. We can't.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I just need to know what time it is. I don't need to know how the watch works.
Right. Exactly.
Because we're looking at the big picture all the time. But sometimes you got to get into those weeds and figure out, okay, well, this is what you really have to do, and then your peers are holding you accountable.
Yep.
To make sure you've done that. And, I think that's a good thing. I just need to, step up to the plate. Maybe that's one of my next things that, I should maybe look into.
Do you have getting back to management, do you have a scorecard that you keep? Some people, scorecard meaning, it's indicators of your business, like a dashboard, like I mentioned, revenue, but some people are looking at number of hits to their website, or number of new customer contact calls, or number of whatever.
Yeah. So
is it more of just a meeting that you mentioned earlier, or do you actually have I could look at some metrics every month and see what's happening?
We do. So during our meetings every other Friday as a company, we look at, take for example, our advertising metrics.
Okay.
And so we do some advertising on the radio. We do advertising, by or even our signs on our trucks. I know our signs on our trucks produce 20% of those incoming leads.
Wow.
Right? So that's why when I complain about our trucks being dirty, Well, I want them clean because 20% of those phone calls come from saw or truck, right? 50% of them are probably from internet search. We got about maybe 20% coming in from our radio ads. And so we track, every one of those things.
Wow.
As far as, everyone wants, ROI, right? Return on investment.
Absolutely.
You're spending that kind of money. It's like, okay, well, how's that doing for us? Which departments are getting those kind of calls? Is it the residential side? Is it the commercial side? And then when they do go out on these calls, are they qualifying the customer before they leave? I want those closing ratios to be more than 20%. So if they're under that, what are you doing, that causes you to run around too much and probably, doing things that you don't need to do. So, so those metrics tell you exactly what you have to not do anymore, as well as what you should be doing.
Right.
And hopefully
sides of the coin.
Yep. Hopefully that's helping.
No, that's awesome. Because I've, we work with many businesses. A lot of people don't have a scorecard or whatever we want to call this. And they're not, it's like day to day. And they're looking at maybe only what's in the bank account, but they're not looking at true metrics and what we call leading indicators, like things that are going to affect your business in a month or two. Like you just mentioned, website hits or, marketing analytics that show, hey, this is down. So we know that's going to impact us down the road a little bit. So I see a lot of people don't develop that.
And that, even right down to the managers where they have a scorecard on all their employees. So once a month they meet with each employee and they talk about their performance, and it's like a little mini review. Those little mini reviews end up to be what possible bonuses they might get at the end of the year. If you have too many wreck trucks and you're not taking care of the equipment, they know that from the beginning. Yeah. So I don't really call it. It's no one likes to do those reviews, but but it's more of a coaching tool, right? It's a way to coach them up in the areas that they need some help in. Yeah, their attendance is poor. We tell them their attendance is poor. If you don't do this by this is such a date, well, then you're gone. Or if they need to be better leaders and work on, some of their soft skills on how to ask people to do things for you instead of telling them, we try to coach them up in that sense. Yeah. And so those evaluations no one likes to do reviews and be reviewed. But they're more of a coaching and a mentoring time is the way they should be looking. That's the way I look at it. That's how it should be.
Yeah, we do that with EOS. They have it's called a people analyzer. So we basically have our core values,
right?
Rate our employees based on those values. So like one of them is be part of the pack, like be part of the team. And if we have a loner, well, they're going to be down on that. We have plus minus. And then we look at, if employees are consistently in the minus category, they either have to be, like you mentioned, coached up in our environment, or they're toxic and they have to go if they can't.
Correct.
And that's, but you try to coach them up. Exactly. You don't want to lose an employee that just
with the labor market as tight as it is, you can't afford to let anyone go. But as far as I'm concerned, if I've done 110% trying to coach someone up and they still don't get it, well, maybe it's not the right fit for the company. Maybe maybe their skills are in retail or in some other industry, and I let them know, sorry, but I think your skills are better suited for whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. One quick question on the business. I had a podcast earlier with someone they sell turf, so artificial turf. So I'm curious, is that a part of your business? Are you in that world too?
Of course.
Okay, all right. So they're a supplier to landscapers, and they have grown dramatically. So I was just curious how that's impacted your business too.
Yeah, back in the day, I had a salesman that would go out and actually sell turf or go sell the product for us, so to speak, and I would be the installer. So we did a lot of putting greens back in the day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And now, the turf is come to the point where they got all different shades and colors, and it's friendly, right? And you don't have to mow it or fertilize or water it. And so, I mean, we put it on everything from people's front yards to the side yards to, I mean, it's popular now that, well, I've done a few retirement homes.
Yeah.
Putting greens for the retirement crowds. And then we put it up on rooftops too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Where you can't have natural grass, but it sure looks pretty.
Yeah.
It's easy to take care of. All those things.
So,
yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's just take me back to just you. Where are you from? Tell me about yourself. Some of the things you may do outside of work, because it sounds like you do work a lot. So
that's my occupation.
Right. Exactly.
What's your occupation? Work.
Work. Yeah. Exactly. What do you do? I work.
I know. I'm guilty of that, but that's for sure.
We all have
work-life balance. What's that mean?
Right.
There ain't that. But but it's not work to me as much because I enjoy what I do. Right.
Yeah.
So if you enjoy what you do, it's not as bad as what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up in the Seattle area. I was born in Tacoma. I come from an immigrant family.
Okay. I saw your history on the website, which is fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. So
business.
Yeah. So my parents were from Japan. They came over here. A lot of opportunity. It's like all those neat stories you hear from, back in the day where they landed on Ellis Island on the East Coast, right?
Yep.
Over here, they landed in Seattle or LA or San Francisco.
Right.
Right. So,
yep.
But I grew up,
money in their pocket, right? So,
yes. So I grew up, working just in my dad's, gardening company. And he just was him and a couple of guys, and that's all he wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he was happy with that. And then since I grew up in the business, I just helped him every summer. Yeah. I helped in the summers. I helped in the weekends. I helped during spring break, winter break, whatever I had time, I was helping out.
Yeah.
And so throughout that time, high school, I thought all the kids around were doing the same kind of side hustles I was,
yeah,
working somewhere, making a little extra cash, saving for college. Yeah. And those kind of things. But as time went on, I understood that I was kind of the rare breed in that growing up in a family business is a lot different than, having parents that maybe worked at Boeing or something.
Sure.
I learned a lot of things during those years that I didn't even know mattered, because I was working with customers, calling out vendors, for my parents, because they didn't speak that great of English. So I was the translator. I was the interpreter. And so I was the one, making friends with, the vendors and customers, and taking phone calls for my dad, and, lining up some of the jobs for him because he wasn't always around. And all those skills that I thought my dad was just a slave driver all those years, which he was. I mean, he had fun at night figuring out what he's going to have me do tomorrow.
Right.
That's what dads do, right?
Right. Exactly.
I'm going to get whatever I need to get out of this kid. And so as time went on, I enjoyed the industry. I got a degree in landscape architecture. Mm-hmm. Went to work for an engineering company for a year to just, that was Dad's idea. Go work for somebody else for a while.
That makes sense.
And see what it's really like out there. And then you could always come back. And then after 1 year, I wasn't really the corporate person. So after 1 year, I quit, and I decided, you know what? I like kind of doing my own thing, and the plants don't talk back to me. So I'm happy with that. And then, one truck leads to another truck. And then my two brothers helped me in the beginning as well. So we're like the three amigos, and they went off and branched off and started doing their own thing later in life. But, one truck, two trucks. Now we got, a bunch of trucks and a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And, my challenge is, get out of the truck and into the boardroom.
That's tough.
Yeah. And so you just have to have a vision of where you want to be. And I think back in the day, I saw how hard my dad worked. And I said to myself, you know what? When I'm 50, I sure hope that I'm not holding that shovel still. And that was my goal, to say, I need to get out of the truck so I don't have to be holding that shovel at 50. And then right about 38 or 39, I let it go. I didn't have to hold that shovel anymore, because I had a good set of crews that would keep my vision going forward and create landscapes that people like. We always got phone calls all the time who did this, who did that, and passed on the knowledge that now I can work on the business instead of in it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's the way to do it.
And that's how kind of in a nutshell how I got to here.
Yeah.
But now my challenge is, okay, where do I want to grow it to? It wasn't going to be the idea and the landscaping, but where are you in between the here and there, and where do you want to be?
Yeah. You have to have that goal in mind. I've found it. There are companies that just go and they don't have that end in mind, but you need to see it and believe it, and then it'll help you get there. Yeah.
Yeah. And pass that on to everyone so they believe it, see it.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yes. Yep. Well, cool. I enjoy talking. This is great. Just talking to you and learning, a little bit of the history about you, your, how you manage and grow. If people want to find you, I know I found you on LinkedIn. I didn't know you before this podcast, so it's you're on LinkedIn under Uyeta Landscape, I think.
Correct. Actually, it was one of my teammates, Alexia, that got us hooked up together.
All right. Well, thank you, Alexia. Yeah. If you're in the background somewhere.
Yeah, she's listening.
No problem.
Awesome. This is good. So company website, you want to just read it off real quick, or?
It's a Uyeta Landscape. It's a UYETA landscape.com.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. And I'm sure you'd love it if people connected with you, right? Had any questions, and this is all good stuff.
It's always good to talk to others in, kind of the same field or different fields. Like I said, I looked at some of your other podcasts, and I remember I told you yesterday about the trucking company that you.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I got to call that trucking guy, because I got a fleet of trucks out here. I don't know how to take care of them probably as well as he does.
Yeah. I would love it if you connected. Yeah.
Yeah. I need some tips and tricks from that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. My son just got a CDL, so he's learning to be a truck driver now. He's young and he's able to crisscross across the country in a semi, so he enjoys that now. So maybe down the road I'll be having a podcast with him when he has 10 trucks, right?
Yeah, exactly. He'll have 100 trucks, and before you know it, right?
Right. Yeah. Cool. Well, I want to thank you, Eddie, and your team. I want to thank everyone who's either watching this or listening.
Yeah.
If you like it, please share it. Let other people know. Hopefully you learned something today. I know I did.
And our social media too is up there.
Oh, good.
They can.
We have social media for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest. And we post pretty much every week in all of our projects that we're currently written up for all of our divisions. So if you want to follow us on any of those.
See what I don't know?
Yeah, I hope they do. That's what's having a good team around you, is you don't have to know everything anymore, right?
I don't. People want to connect on LinkedIn, and I don't even know I'm doing anything there except that she's boosting my SEO or whatever you want to call it. There.
So, and just when I used to know every single client, we won the outsourced accounting QuickBooks work. And there became a time where somebody with a check would come in, who is this? Oh, we've had that client for a year. I'm like, there's a point where you get to the size where you just can't know everything, and you can't know every single client.
Yeah. So you don't. I mean, it's the same when I do payroll. I'm signing checks.
Yeah.
I don't know who some of these people are. Sometimes I hope they're real employees, right? Not an employee.
There is a concept called fictitious employees. It's a fraud thing that we look at sometimes, but
Yeah, exactly. I know there's something out there like that. I just got to make sure that, that guy is who he is. I mean, he's really here.
right, exactly.
But maybe one day I'll get to the point where, like Oprah Winfrey. I mean, I don't think she signs checks under 500,000.
Probably not.
Right. So then, if I get to her level, all right.
I have clients that you could put the logo right on the check, the signature right on the check as it prints out. So they're actually having people just print checks without them even seeing it. I'm not a fan of that, but some large companies, that's what they do. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so thanks again. Thanks your team. I hope people hear this. You can share it. Follow Eddie and Uyeta Landscape. I went to your website. I like you can see the pictures of what you guys do, have done. Again, thank you. And this has been another episode of Leaders Who Scale. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for joining. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at leaderswhoscale.com. Leaders Who Scale is sponsored by Siegel Solutions, providing world-class services and cutting-edge tools that help businesses grow and succeed.